Supra a Supra, why people love Supra is the fact that it's a front engine rear drive package, right? So traditional sports car setup, fun to drive. The inline six is something the Supra's had, so we continue that with the current generation, turbocharged. 8-speed transmission, which is new, so that's an updated transmission, and it's a great direct shift transmission. But the real keys to Supra are the fun to drive aspect. So the handling, part of that is the optimal 50-50 weight distribution. And then, again, it's been tuned and actually retuned for this model year a little bit for even more agile dynamic handling. So I don't know if you've driven one yet. We actually got a chance to drive one on a real racetrack, and it was the most fun I've ever had at a ride and drive event. The car was unbelievable. So let's do a grade walk and talk about the 21 model, and some things have changed. Specifically this is an all-new model for 21 model year. It's the Supra 2.0. So the 2.0 refers to a different engine, and in this case, it's a 4-cylinder engine on Supra. So when we introduced it last year, it just came with the inline six, but now we offer a 4-cylinder engine as well. Also turbocharged, same 8-speed transmission as the 6-cylinder version and the one that we had last year. The wheels on the 4-cylinder Supra are a little bit small. They're 18s versus 19s. A couple of new features, and this goes for the entire Supra lineup for 21, an 8.8-inch full digital TFT gauge cluster. So that just means the instruments have a large full digital display, which looks fantastic in the vehicle. The touchscreen has also been enlarged. So the base touchscreen used to be 6.5-inch, which was fine, but it kind of seems small by today's standards. So we upgraded it to an 8-inch touchscreen, which is actually quite large for a Toyota. The front brake rotors are 12.9-inch, very large, but a little bit smaller than the 6-cylinder version. And the 4-cylinder Supra comes with active cornering assist standard. So if you look at the pricing, it's $43,945. That includes delivery, and it's a good $8,000 less than the 6-cylinder model. So a great value. It kind of slots price-wise in between the 86 and the 6-cylinder Supra as far as pricing goes. So it gives customers another option for a very sporty car with great handling and dynamics, but a little less power, obviously, than the 6-cylinder, but a great overall package nonetheless. So look for that coming to your dealership soon as a 21 model. So continuing with the grades, the Supra 3.0, which is the base 6-cylinder, it comes standard with staggered width 19-inch forged aluminum wheels. So what that means is that while the diameter is the same 19-inch front and back, the rear wheels are a little bit wider, as are the tires, obviously. So a little better tire performance with that staggered system. They're Michelin Pilot Super Sports. And then the 3.0 gets Brembo brakes. Everyone knows that brand and considers it a performance brand of brakes. So they're very impressive brakes on the 6-cylinder Supra. Jeremy will go into that a little bit more. The 6-cylinder also comes with adaptive variable sport dampers. Again, Jeremy will cover this a little bit later, but it's a cool way to modify the performance of the vehicle. Standard active rear sport differential, which is fantastic. The seats on the Supra 3.0 are 14-way power seats with adjustable side bolsters and driver memory. Didn't mention this on the previous slide, but the 4-cylinder Supra has manual seats. And so on the 4-cylinder, in addition to a lower price, they tried to save weight for a better, power to weight ratio. So one of the things they don't have on the 4-cylinder are power seats, and that does actually save quite a bit of weight. I think the 4-cylinder is a little over 200 pounds lighter than the 6-cylinder. And the standard seats are black Alcantara leather trim seats, same on the 4-cylinder. The Premium 3.0, so it has all the features of the 3.0, but you get full leather trim seats. So no Alcantara, full leather. They're also heated as well. You get a 12-speaker JBL sound system, the Qi wireless charging, heads-up display, sport pedals, larger rear brake rotors, and the red painted brake calipers. Right, that's a really good visual look to this vehicle that designates that it's a premium Supra. And then finally, we added an extra addition for 21 model year. It's called the A91, which is the model designation for the current generation. So it has all of the premium equipment. It's a limited edition, so only 1,000 units built for 21 model year. You get unique carbon fiber heated mirrors. You get very unique matte black 19-inch forged alloys, which you can see on the photo there. Look fantastic. Black and blue Alcantara seats. So they're Alcantara, but they have black and blue trim, again, to designate the A91 edition, and only comes in 2 different colors. So half of the 1,000 will be refraction blue, which you see in the photo there, and that is an all-new color for this year, for this particular limited edition, and the nocturnal black, which is available for the other premium edition. So that's the grade strategy for this year. So the all-new 2.0, which is the 4-cylinder version. We have the 3.0, the premium 3.0, and then the all-new limited A91 edition. All right, so at this point, I'll throw it over to Jeremy, and he will continue.
All right, thanks, Brian, and good morning, everyone. So we'll talk about some of the details inside the new Supra. So the seats are specific and for more designed to hold you in place, and there's a lot of adjustability there. In fact, it's 14-way adjustable power seats on the 6-cylinder version. 4-way lumbar support, so you can move the lumbar in and out and up and down, and even the side bolsters of the seat back you can adjust in and out. So if you want it to hold you a little more snugly, you can push those in. So if you're, let's say, driving more spiritedly, that way you're not moving around the seat. And if you want a little bit more comfort, then you can expand them out to give you a little bit more space as well. Interior-wise, you've got your choice depending on the model, but you've got black Alcantara with leather trim seats on the 3.0, black leather on the premium, so full leather seats. And if you have any launch editions sitting around, those also come with leather. And now the new A91 edition is black and blue Alcantara with leather trim and blue stitching. And of course, the interior is all carbon fiber trimmed. In-car technology, as Brian mentioned, you've got that new standard 8.8-inch touchscreen, so a little bit of an increase over the base 6.5-inch we had last year. Of course, that comes with Supra Command. It's got an available full-color heads-up display with available wireless Apple CarPlay, so that's our only vehicle that will have wireless Apple CarPlay, and our available Toyota Supra Connect, so very much like our Safety Connect, but I'll go into a little more detail on how that works. And also Qi wireless charging is available. The JBL sound system, which is an option on the 3.0, but standard on the premium and A91 edition, gives you 12 speakers, 500 watts, and that 8.8-inch touchscreen. It's also going to come with Sirius XM. It's going to have Bluetooth and USB connectivity, navigation embedded, a touchpad control, the wireless Apple CarPlay, and voice recognition. So if you want wireless Apple CarPlay, you would have to get the JBL surround sound system for that. Now, Supra Connect. That also, again, is paired with the JBL sound system. That gives you pretty much the same features we would have on our Toyota Safety Connect. It's going to give you the SOS button, emergency calling, roadside assistance. It also adds things like concierge service, battery guard. You will have the remote control availability to unlock the vehicle and maybe turn on the ventilation system, all done through the Toyota Supra Connect app. So I just want to be clear, this is not the same app that we use on all the other Toyota vehicles for connected services. So this is not just the Toyota app, this is a different app called Supra Connect. And when you register a customer with their new Supra for these connected services, you got to use that Toyota Supra Connect app to do that. Right? We can't do it the way we do all of our other vehicles. While it's a Toyota vehicle, it does use a little bit different system, so that's why it has a separate app. So Powertrain, Brian mentioned that new 4-cylinder, so let's take a look at some of the numbers. So it is a 4-cylinder, it's got the twin scroll, a single turbo, which the old Supra I know had twin turbo. So the advantage here with the twin scroll single turbo is you don't get that turbo lag, which is basically a lot of turbo engines, you'll have this lag when you kind of press on the accelerator and then the power starts to build gradually until the turbo boost comes up, and then you have a lot more power and usually the upper RPM range. Well, with this single turbocharger, this twin scroll, you're going to see pretty good power from a 4-cylinder. It's 255 horsepower, and that horsepower peaks at 5,000 RPM but lasts all the way up to 6,500 RPM. But the torque is really impressive on this engine, 295 pound-feet of torque, and you get maximum torque from 1,550 RPM all the way to 4,400 RPM. So across that entire RPM range, you're going to have maximum torque available. So a very, very flat torque curve, and that's going to give you a lot of pulling power when you're accelerating, even at low RPM range. And that direct injection also and a dual variable valve timing with lift is included on the 4-cylinder. Now when you look at the the inline 6, the 3-liter, it's also a twin scroll single turbo, but for 2021, we've increased the power by 47 horsepower. So it's now rated at 382 horsepower, and that's from 5,800 RPM to 6,500, but an impressive 368 pound-feet of torque from 1,800 to 5,000 RPM. So during that entire RPM range, you're going to have that maximum 368 pound-feet of torque. So a tremendous amount of pulling power for this lightweight sports car. Also direct injection and dual variable valve timing with lift. The compression, if you remember, on the 2020 model was 11:1, so pretty high compression. But with this additional boost and then increased horsepower, it reduced the compression on this inline 6 to 10.2:1. Now, the only transmission offered in Supra is the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. It does have paddle shifters, and you also have the ability to shift manually with the gear selector in manual mode if you choose. There's also some driver select modes that you can use. So normal mode, of course, for normal daily driving, but there's also a sport and a sport individual mode. And when you go into sport mode, it changes all these different parameters throughout the vehicle. So it's going to put the sport dampening suspension into sport mode. The steering is going to feel different. The engine and throttle response will be different, and the transmission shift points will also be different. You can go into sport individual and customize each one of those settings. So you could, for example, you wanted a softer ride, so you can turn the sport dampening on the suspension to normal, but maybe the steering's normal, but you want the engine and transmission a little bit more sporty, so you can turn the sport mode on both of those. So it's kind of a custom setting for each driver. But otherwise, in both the sport and the sport individual, if the engine is in sport mode, you will have a different sound from the exhaust. So there's a valve on one of the exhaust pipes, so on one side, that will open up so that the exhaust flows through both of the exhaust pipes in sport mode, and that gives you not only more throaty sound, it also is going to give you that kind of popping noise you'll hear through the exhaust on D-cell or if you rev the engine. So it's kind of a cool feature unique to Supra. Now, there are some traction and VSC modes. We've got normal for normal driving. We've got a traction mode that's more of a, I would say, a track mode. So it's going to limit the intrusion of traction control and the VSC. So that if you are on a track and you do slide a little bit or spin the tires a little bit, it's not going to come on and limit the wheel spin or get too intrusive into the stability control. And the last mode is VSC off. So that turns everything off. So that means you're on your own. There's no electronic assistance to help you should you get out of shape. So it's best to probably not use that on the street, only possibly for some track days. But there is launch control on Supra. Not many people probably realize this, but if you put the drive mode in sport and you turn the traction control off, if you hold and depress firmly the brake pedal, and then you can go ahead and hit the gas pedal at the same time, as soon as you let off the brake pedal, the vehicle will launch, and the goal here is as little wheel spin as possible, so the quickest acceleration off the line. And that's what it'll do. So it'll still provide traction control, but it's going to go ahead and give you the quickest launch possible. And that's how you'll see some of the magazines are getting those sub 4 seconds 0 to 60 times that they've been writing about. Now the chassis, so very lightweight chassis, very low center of gravity as well, so great for cornering. In fact, it's lower center of gravity than the 86. And that's a very small, lightweight car, of course, a boxer engine with a low center of gravity, but now the Supra is even lower. 50-50 weight distribution. So as Brian mentioned, near perfect weight distribution on a front engine, rear-wheel drive car. It is impressive to be able to shift at least 50% of the weight to the rear wheels. So it gives you that great balance. And of course, lightweight components like aluminum are used on the doors and the hood. Also, composite material for the rear hatch. So this vehicle tips a scale of just under 3,400 pounds. Suspension-wise, a double joint type McPherson strut. It's got adaptive variable sport dampers, both front and rear on the 6-cylinder. So unfortunately, the 4-cylinder won't have those adaptive variable sport dampers. We've even added aluminum suspension arms on Supra to even lighten the suspension components and improve the handling. Multi-link rear independent suspension on all grades, and again, adaptive variable sport dampers on the rear of the 6 cylinders also. And by the way, the Premium and the E91 have been retuned for 2021, so they've added some structural aluminum braces in certain points of the vehicle, so it will have a little bit different feel than the 20 model. Brakes, giant brakes on Supra. So Brembo 4-piston fixed aluminum calipers with 13.7-inch rotors. Now, just to give you an idea how large of a rotor that is, the 5.7-liter Tundra has 13.9-inch rotors. So this is a 6,000-pound truck, so it's 10,000 pounds, and yet we've got the brakes on the Supra that are only 0.2 of an inch smaller than that of our big full-size truck. The calipers, though, on the front are going to be gray, painted on the 3.0, but the Premium and A91 will have red painted calipers. Rear calipers and rotors, single piston floating calipers on 13-inch rotors on the 3.0, but red painted calipers with those single floating calipers, 13.6-inch rear rotors on Premium and A91. So again, that's the same size brake rotor we have on the Tundra in the rear. So impressive braking capability in this vehicle, and an electronic parking brake as well. Now this only applies to the 6-cylinder. The 4-cylinder will give you a slightly smaller 12.9-inch rotor in the front. So still a pretty substantial size brakes, but keep in mind that 4-cylinder with less equipment is a little bit lighter, so it doesn't need quite as big a brakes either. Active safety, so we're going to have standard pre-collision system with pedestrian detection on all Supras. We'll also have lane departure warning with steering assist and automatic high beams. So we can't technically say Supra has Toyota Safety Sense, so it has a lot of those features, but not all. But with the addition of the 8 standard airbags in this vehicle, of course, safety is going to be key. It is a very small cabin and still has 8 airbags inside. But we will offer a driver assist package, which will include the dynamic radar cruise control, and that's full speed cruise control, by the way. It'll also have blind spot with rear cross traffic alert included, and parking sensors with the emergency braking function. So if you were to back into a parking space and there was an object you didn't see, Once you get too close, it's going to alert you, and if you don't stop, it'll go ahead and apply the brakes so you wouldn't damage the vehicle. Now, one of the things that hasn't been widely publicized, and at least a lot of customers aren't familiar with the fact that when they buy a new Supra, they get a 1-year membership to the National Auto Sport Association. So NASA for short, probably not the NASA you're thinking of, but it also includes a 1-day track experience. So this is going to be a day they can take their Supra to the track and not only just drive it, but they'll get some instruction on how to drive it safely on the track. All right, so I'm going to show you a quick little video on kind of what that would be like.
When someone buys a 2020 GR Supra, Toyota buys them.
All right, so don't forget to mention that to your customers. So this is a great experience for them, and it's a great value to add to that vehicle. So it doesn't matter what model of Supra they purchase, they will get that 1-year membership and that track day experience. But what about you? So what do you get when you sell a Supra? So I'm not sure if you're aware, but we've just launched a sales consultant incentive. It started August 1st and runs all the way till March 31st. So you've got 8 months to take advantage of this incentive. What will you get? Well, for every Supra that you sell, you will get Supra merchandise. So the first one you sell, you'll get some Supra themed merchandise. The second one, you'll get something else that's Supra themed. And if you're among the first 10 sales consultants in the region to sell 5 Supras in that 8-month time period, you will be able to attend a Supra-themed driving event that will be held sometime in 2021. We haven't announced it yet, and the dates aren't firm. Obviously, due to COVID, things are a little bit fluid nowadays, but you will have that opportunity to go ahead and drive the Supra on the track. So just think about that. I know it seems like, wow, that's a lot of Supras to sell, but you've got 8 months to do it, so it's about every 6